And we are live. So tell me out there in my friendly audience, is sound coming through? Can you see me? Is everything working fine? It takes a few minutes to get everything broadcasting live, but I believe we are. And welcome to the folks that we've got today. This is great. Just say hello. I think we've got a few people who are new, so just say who you are and where you're watching from. What part of the world are you connecting into? I think in the future we may move to a live stream that doesn't have such a delay between the questions and the text chat. There we go. We're getting some response, which means you can hear me. This is good. It's going to be a good show today. We've changed the format. We've got lots of content. We've got some organization. The summer hangouts are now moving into more of a coaching session. So this is what the audience has been asking for. And there's Tracy coming in from Denver. This is good. It's been fun getting to meet everyone over the last few months and learning where they're at. I see Ruth has just joined in. Say hello to everybody, Ruth. We've got some regulars and some new people. Tracy's having lunch, so she doesn't want to be on camera right now. What about you, Ruth? Do you want to join in to the panel and get your microphone on? The nice thing about it is you can be on camera or just audio. You can just mute the video and it'll just be your camera or just your microphone. And that way you don't have to keep text chatting all the time. Yeah, my system is slow today. Hope it's coming across okay to all our guests. Okay, with texting, that's fine. Well, let's just get started into the message of the afternoon. I thank you all for coming. It's great to have an audience every month. As you noticed in the emails I've sent out, we used to be doing it every week, but it was conflicting with too many people's schedules. So the consensus was, let's just do it once a month. And instead of just doing 20, 30 minutes, let's do 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour, cover some content, share news and announcements. I'd asked everybody who had an announcement to send it to me on the Ask Dave board or to come here today and get on camera so that you could share it to the audience. I think we're getting about 40% of our audience watching us live and about 60% watching the replays. And so although your message won't be heard immediately today to the complete group, they will watch it over the next couple of days. So if you have a workshop or course coming up, get ready to share that, and we will do that every month. This month, we're really talking about, well, I guess carrying on the conversations we've had the last few sessions about where are cancer patients located, how do you find them, how do you become visible, what is it that the cancer patient community and survivors are asking for in terms of help. And so I'd like to carry on with that. And then next month, we have a guest, Lisa Engels, who's going to join me. And we're going to talk more about the use of video and live streaming to become visible. In fact, today I'm going to introduce the topic by talking about Blab. I don't know if you've been paying attention to Blab, but I'll tell you a little bit about it and why I'm excited. I've been on it for the last couple of weeks, and it's quite an interesting innovation in terms of connecting with the audience. So to begin, hopefully you saw in the list, the chat list at the top, the two articles that got a lot of attention in our sessions during the summer. One was the Cancer Registry Data Report. Just to recap, they survey cancer patients across Canada and the United States in terms of what their needs are, what they're experiencing, and then report once a year on the findings of all the survey data. So the fall report, last fall report, had about 7,300 cancer patients. And that study that's listed there in the chat, just click on the link and get your copy of it. It's a rather lengthy report and does show you a great deal about what cancer patients are saying are the issues that they wish they could get some help on. And then there's a second article that was in the list that was an actual formalized research study done with the School of Coaching at Harvard, where they were trying to discover, does coaching actually make a difference? We know that therapy, counseling, social psych kinds of approaches have benefit, but what about coaching? And the study that's in that link will give you some solid data of the value that coaches bring. And that's what I think a lot of the coaches in our community, in our Cancer Coach Network, are saying, is that some of the medical professionals that they are talking to don't really, what can I say, accept that coaching is a valuable service to bring to a patient or to a survivor. And so there's been a lot of studies. I'm trying to find them, give you the ammunition that you need when you talk to your hospitals and clinics and try to introduce yourself and what you provide. So let's take a look at some of the data. I'll just switch over to screen sharing and bring up my results, see if it comes up on the screen properly. There we go. This screenshot, it really gives you an example of what were the issues that the surveys of cancer patients and survivors said they were facing. And no surprise to any of us who have been coaching for a while. It really is focused on a number of issues, which may be the thing to pay most attention to. A lot of the coaches I've talked to understand that, you know, exercise and diet, nutrition, financial issues generally jump right out when they start to talk to a patient. But certainly reducing stress and the fears that come with the cancer journey, the anger, the grief, the depression, all seem to be of equal importance, which I was surprised. There's a few points difference between interest in all of these different areas, but all of them are areas that the patients and survivors are saying they would really like some help with. So as I started talking to patients, and in fact, you may be doing the same thing when you're talking to the patients that I'm still having to visit the hospital every 90 days for my scans and making sure that everything's okay with Dave. And so I get to sit in the waiting room for a long time, and I get a chance to meet a lot of the patients that are in the oncology wing, or those that are on the different floor going into chemo or radiation. And, I've been carrying on a conversation over the last few months with people I've met in terms of who are the people that they're reaching out to for help. And in fact, not only asking for help, but are prepared to pay hard dollar for services. And there's quite a group, as you would expect. You know, I was just there on Monday, and I had quite a conversation with a person who had just hired a what I'd call a combination life and career coach, and they were paying $150 an hour to get some guidance and direction of how to deal with some of their life issues as they were re-entering the workforce. I had talked also to a person who was working with a wellness and health coach combination, really on their diet and exercise issues as they were trying to gain muscle mass and trying to get their body back into shape. And obviously, they're not this week, but certainly last month, I was talking to some people who had actually joined in with some counseling and formal therapy. And they were certainly paying $200-300 an hour for assistance from the psychosocial workers. So I found, as you may be finding, that there are people out there who are looking for help. What they aren't aware of, and generally neither the oncology teams that I'm working with or the cancer care teams that I'm working with are aware of this entity called the Cancer Coach. And that's kind of interesting, that it's not just providing services that we have to focus in on. We really have to be concerned with educating the community as to what the heck a cancer coach is and what are the services that you're providing. And what's nice, as we found in the cancer studies that you can read about, is that people are very focused in on getting help. Now, yes, there are some people who are really stuck, and we've talked over the summer about those people who have financial problems that are stressing them out. But there's, again, a video on the site that some of you may refer back to, where I took a look at the studies that were sharing in financial information as to who actually was financially stressed out and wouldn't be a prime candidate for paid coaching services. And it turns out that, as you would expect, a good 40-45% of the North American population are finding finances to be a big issue when they're facing the cancer journey. The costs of just their supplies and their drugs and so forth eat up their disposable cash that they might have. But there's still a good 55% or more of people who, yes, are concerned about payment, but have funds and are prepared to spend and buy services. And although these small samples I'm taking here in Canada are quite different than the US market, I've made some phone calls to some coaches who are making money selling coaching services to survivors. And they're confirming my philosophy here that, yes, it is an issue to be concerned with, but you can find paying clients. And it's a question of how do you do it and how do you find it? That's really the big issue. Where are the people that you can reach out to and find out whether they're interested in your services and whether they have the ability to pay? And I'm finding that there are a number of categories that the audience tends to reside in. Obviously, hospitals and clinics are the obvious place. And again, over the summer, many of you in this our networking sessions were saying, but the hospitals and clinics aren't allowing me to have any impact on the patients. And I'll get back to that in a minute, because one of our coaches just is finding that not to be the case, that depending on how it's presented, the hospitals and clinics are accepting them. I've also discovered that now, both in Canada and the United States, the hospitals, because of the large number of patients that are now moving into transition from patient to person, they now are going to survivorship centers. And that's a new kind of concept, where we're finding that the oncology and psych-social departments in the hospital are overworked with the intake of new cancer patients. And as that patient gets through the majority of their active treatment, they're bringing them over to another group in the hospital, often led by a nurse practitioner, who now manages the survivorship care program. In the States, it turns out that that is really a formalized system, often government, state mandated, where the patient is leaving the hospital and being sent back to their primary care provider, and they need a survivorship care program outlined so that the PCP understands exactly what's happened to the patient and what further active treatment will the patient require. You know, the basics from the blood draws and the scans and the consults, the checkups, and so forth. But we're finding that in those survivorship centers, when the patient is coming back for the standard medical treatment during the, often that 5-year window before they're formally discharged, there are additional issues like the ones I just showed on that previous screen that the patients are asking for help. And that's where I'm finding that the coaching model is getting some attention. Very surprisingly, here in Canada, they've decided that survivorship centers should also have an outreach supportive care program. They're changing the labeling so that it means more to the oncology support team that what should we do to help the patient beyond the medical treatment. And the psychosocial issues that were primarily offered by the therapists, the social workers, the counselors, we're following a medical model where the help that the patient required was to relieve pain and suffering, but it wasn't to affect change. And so they're now saying, wait a minute, we can only give 1 or 2 sessions to the patient. What can we do over time to help the patient change behaviors, not just educate them, but actually do something in order to make sure their behavior is modified so that they are living now a wellness lifestyle. And that is something with that the hospitals that I'm talking to and the community care centers are saying, why can't we use coaches? That's what a coach is. Now they're very confused, and I've got to caution you is that when you use the word coach, I'm finding a lot of pushback because they think that's a life coach or that's a career coach or that's a business coach. They don't understand exactly what a cancer coach is. So there's an educational process that has to be done when you're working with them. And one of our members has been doing some workshops in hospitals to educate the medical team and the patients at the same time, where the hospital and clinic has no difficulty in running a variety of seminars at times of the year. They're bringing in outsiders, third parties, to come in and share information and try to give strategic information to the patient and survivor to manage their journey with cancer. And although the social worker is certainly present and the nurse practitioner is often running that particular workshop, but the guest coach coming in gets an opportunity to talk about what are the issues and how coaching can actually make a change. And surprise, at the end of that coaching session, some of the members, of the audience really come up to the coach and say, can you work with me after this session? You've shown me what it is that can now be done beyond the medical treatment help that I've received. Can you work with me over time? I'm finding the same thing with home care. Again, I'm on the Share Care Council here in our geographical region, and we have something a little unique than the US in as much as a hospital has an opportunity to say treatment can be done in the home rather than in the hospital. It's a cost-sharing model. They know that it's less expensive to continue active treatment in the home, and so they allocate home care resources to the patient and cut down the physical resources required by the hospital. And some of the US groups I've talked to have the same thing that's happening to them. And what I've discovered is the home care professionals, even the social workers and other, the nutritionists, the dietitians, the folks that are actually working with the patient at home are saying, wait a minute, that we can see where a coaching model can actually be of benefit. And so I've now found in just the last 3 weeks, 2 organizations that are actually looking for coaches. You know, they're saying, who's out there that we can work with? So I'm saying perhaps it's something you will find is happening in your local area with your hospital, your clinic, your survivor center, your home care agency, that will help you get some exposure and business as working as really an outreach member of the team. The hospitals, the clinics, the community care are saying they're overworked. They don't have enough resources. We all know there's 17.5 million survivors all trying to ask for help. Where can the medical model fit? And so they're trying to come up with different models. Again, as an example, and I'm going to try and see if it's working in the States, we have hospitals that band together in geographical region. And in Canada, they're called LHINs. They're called local health information networks. And the hospitals share resources and share programs. They beta test new concepts and take it out. So what we're finding is the LHIN is actually working with a number of hospitals to field test the coaching model. They want to find out, does it really work? So the research studies that I'm finding, when I bring that back to the medical professionals, the oncology team, they're saying, gee, this is something we should pay attention to. So I'm very excited. I sense there's a lot to be done that's happening out there. And let me just bring it back to you, because as we all know, I get carried away and I'll get out of the screen sharing mode and come back into the video mode. Those of you that want to be on camera, I can bring you on and we can discuss what I'm finding. Or if you want to just be on microphone, just mute your camera and come in. Or on text chat. How are you finding the market right now as you're going out there and talking to your local access points that you've decided to become visible in? Anyone got a comment that they'd like to share? Lynn wants to come in. Let's see, Lynn, are you on Facebook? I don't see you in the, or on Google Plus. I don't see you. Cancer health coach, are you in the, yes, there you are. So I'll send a message out to Lynn and invite you to come in on camera. And Tracy, I'll bring, let's see, where are you? There you are. I'll send you an invite. So you'll get an invite on your screen, just say yes, and it should connect your either your microphone or your camera, and you'll join the film strip. So anyone else want to come in that I can link you in? Oh, there's Tracy. There we go.
Hi, Dave. Hi, everyone.
There, super. I don't see, is Lynn, did you get an invite? While I'm waiting, so what's your reaction, Tracy, to what I'm discovering?
Well, you know, I love your insights, Dave. You're such a good data guy. Thank you for going and finding all that data so that we have some evidence of, you know, different ways that we can do our work.
Yes.
It's great to have data to support what we know from the clients that we work with, that, you know, what the needs are and where we might find clients. And I do think there's some good ideas there. You know, I found that doing workshops is a great way to get clients and I just have not looked for local opportunities because I think I've been really focused on working nationally, and but I think it makes sense to, you know, be out in my own community connecting. And I actually made a whole list of different organizations that I could partner with to to get in front of people more. So it's really helpful. Just being on these Hangouts sparks ideas for me, and I take great notes and get good ideas about new things that I can try. So that's really valuable.
It's amazing what the actual support network is surrounding the cancer community in your region. Just here in my area, I started Googling and finding out where are all the support centers that if you needed any kind of help you could go to. And there are 10 local centers that are run daily workshops on everything, you know, from the standard things like yoga and meditation and deep breathing and nutrition and exercise, all that standard thing. But then they bring in a lot of other experts on other topics that help the cancer patient. So they are looking for guest speakers, and some of them pay. Like Gina was telling me this morning that although she only got a $40 honorarium, what it did is give her a vehicle to meet the hospital staff and the social workers to set up an ongoing program of working with the patients. And that, you know, was what she was trying to do, was build a relationship that they would say, oh, there's somebody that we've never thought of using before. It doesn't have to be just a therapist or a social worker. There are other kinds of people that can bring value to the needs of the patient. But she didn't present it as an outreach support program. And that's the thing that I'm finding, that when I change the way that they think, I get other opportunities being presented to me. Because when I approach them saying, do you want a speaker? They said, sure, yeah, we'll have a speaker. It'll be a one-time event, come in November, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They didn't really see it as part of an ongoing support system for the patient. It was, hey, we're giving this outsider some opportunity, but they weren't really thinking of the outsider actually working with all of the patients that they have to deal with. So it's changing their paradigm of, well, what do you do in these workshops? Are they one-up events, or are they just regular things that are being done? Now, some of the places like Wellspring and Wellwood, they've got that mentality. They've got courses and programs going every day of the week, 7 days a week, on every topic, from breast cancer to prostate cancer to lung cancer to colon cancer. They've broken it all down, and they're really, really, really active. So when you now approach them, they say, hey, where do you fit into our program? What can you do that will help us reach out to all of those patients that we want to help? Because they are heart-centered. They really want to help. And we're here saying, why can't we help them? The issue, of course, is how do you go about doing that? I mean, that's the issue, is that you've got to have, you know, certain training in your own kit bag that says, I offer something equal value to what the hospital, the clinic, the wellness center is currently offering. And that's where I'm finding some of the cancer coaches to have some difficulty, is in trying to get an awareness that they do have something that the hospital or the clinic should pay attention to. In fact, if I think about it, I think Jeanette Marshall and PCCI, the Professional Cancer Coach International Training Program, you know, is trying to do that, trying to give credentials that are recognized. The Canadian Institute of Stress is now taking their stress and wellness package and wrapping that up with cancer-related information, because it's recognized by the College of Family Physicians. And so when you say, oh, I'm PCCI certified, or I'm CIS certified, or I'm the Well Coaches group is an amazing group. They've got probably 40 different nurse, hospital, and medical related associations endorsing their accreditation program. So there's ways that if you find you don't have the credentials that people are saying they want, you can go ahead and get them. It's available, and it doesn't cost tens of thousands of dollars. It just takes a few more weeks of training time until you have something that you can take back to the medical professional and say, hey, I can offer something that the social worker can't do. Did you work with social workers, Tracy?
I really didn't, Dave. It's interesting. Some of the traditional things that people do, like support groups. I went a couple times to a support group and I found it really depressing and not helpful.
Yes.
And I think after my first recurrence, I did go visit with the social worker at my doctor's office once and a nutritionist. And I found that what the nutritionist was recommending was kind of a standard American diet. It wasn't really a cancer-specific diet. I found that I kind of knew more than she did about what she was trying to tell me to eat, at least as it related to cancer. And kind of the same with the social worker. I mean, I don't remember the social worker being negative like the other two were, but I don't remember it being super helpful either.
Yeah, I mean, and that's my experience. And again, as I'm talking to other patients, I'm like a little research bunny. I'm out there just talking to people about what do you do? How do you do it? What makes you happy? What not? And I'm finding that there is a dissatisfaction with survivor groups because of the negative tone. It's not positively focused on wellness change. And it's a vehicle to get the emotions, ventilated in some fashion, but it doesn't move forward to a behavioral change. Right. And when you bring the social worker in, certainly my social worker that I had a couple of visits with, it was very strange because I was looking for a strategy to move forward, and it was a female. She just wasn't going to go that way. She wasn't going to help me deal with the issues. It was more of a listening post of, here's the things that I want you to be aware of, but there wasn't any prescription for change. And that's what I was looking for. I wanted something to actually help me move forward. And those of you that know, I mean, I ended up with a number of appliances because of my colon cancer, and I had to get used to a colonoscopy or a colostomy, and then I had a neurostomy, and then I had a high output ileostomy, and then I ended up with a urostomy. So I've had 4 different bags attached to my body, and the body image issues were a major problem for me. And I was looking for either the support group or the social worker to help me deal with that. And they really were little help. And that's what probably got me most motivated on trying to get this group together to find the cancer coaches who do have an answer and do have a program that they can offer to patients. And now I found people that do have the training and ability to make a change, but they're getting resistance when they're talking to the hospitals, the clinics, the community centers, and so on. So I'm now trying to uncover what can you do that will be meaningful and accepted. I mean, Lynn is making some great comments in the group. Let's see if I can bring one of these up into the window here. There we go. She completed training in hypnosis and timeline therapy and NLP to her cancer coaching practice. And she's also, this is great. Mariola is talking about positive psychology, which, is, really one of my big pet areas. I mean, I just love the folks that are coming out now with masters in applied positive psychology degrees and are looking at how we can look at wellness rather than illness. And these kinds of programs that Mariola and Lynn are talking about are not being understood by the professionals in the hospital areas, the medical treatment professionals. So we've got this huge need to educate people as to what we actually do and what we can provide, and be seen as a friend instead of a foe. It's interesting how many people when I was talking about what I'm trying to do with cancer coaches and how to get them more visibility, there was well, we don't need any of that. We've got social workers, we've got therapists. And yeah, there's a particular place and time for that service, but there's also alternative therapies and other kinds of ongoing wellness change strategies that you can bring into place that come over time. And, I mean, here we are, I guess that's Tracy talking about certification in energy healing techniques being accepted. It's a lot of things that are things that you are now having to bring up in the educational program. And I think that's why I was talking to you about how do you go about now making yourself visible? Is it only one-on-one workshops? I mean, what is it that you can do that it is in fact going to allow people to know that you're out there with a particular orientation? And during the summer, we talked about lead generation strategies. I'll just bring up that screen again, where this is out of the course that I offer cancer coaches on how do you become visible? What is it that you can do to get known in your local community? And there are just, dozens and dozens of techniques that are possible for you to employ when you're involved with your community. Are you just doing workshops? Are you doing some kind of one-on-one marketing? Are you doing newsletters? Are you doing press releases? There are so many different things that you can put into your kit bag as to ways to get known. I'm certainly finding video to be very, very important. That doing Hangouts like we're doing are recorded and they sit in YouTube and people get to watch them. And I get leads every day from people saying, hey, I saw such and such a video that you posted. Tell me more about what's going on in the cancer community. And, right now, as everyone knows, my mission is to try and help the cancer patient find the cancer coach, match them up so that they know that there is a opportunity of resources that up until now isn't generally not known about. And videos are there. I know when I was in the hospital bed, I was searching everywhere on YouTube and on my smartphone, on my tablet, on my laptop, trying to look for information. And, I stayed focused in on healing by getting that information. And I wish there had been coaches that I could have talked to that would have helped me out on the various information that I was searching for. We know the basics. We know it's about getting known. We know it's about getting remembered. It's about, once they trust you and know about you, they will come to you and ask for help. And you've just got to figure out how much of your advertising, how much of your events are you doing. Is it print media? Is it social media? Is it video media? Is it live streaming like I'm doing? The monthly broadcasts that we do to cancer patients, I mean, we're getting probably 300-400 people watching those broadcasts. Tracy's, for instance, she was there a few months ago talking about being single. I've had 4 cancer clinics want that link so that they can use it in their treatment program, so that the issues are available to them by just clicking on the YouTube, and then they're building programs around it. So by taking your knowledge, and even if it is 10 minutes of content, or if it is going to be maybe 3 15-minute pieces of information, people are searching for that to add to their intervention strategies with the patients and survivors. That's one of the reasons I mentioned Blab. We know about Google, and we know that this Google Hangout thing works well. We know about YouTube, we know about Facebook, and we know about Twitter, but when we haven't had a live video streaming access to the Twitterverse until a month ago when Blab came out. And it is unbelievably simple and unbelievably powerful, and unfortunately very addictive. I found that I go over to blab.im and I look at all of the live video streams that are going on, and they're social conversations. You're allowed to have 4 people on camera at any given time. There are no restrictions as to whether you're Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. As long as you've got a camera and you want to be on, you press the little button you can see there on the screen, and you're right into the blab. When you're on camera, you've got live chat going along the side, and you've got the ability to tweet whatever you want to the Twitterverse. And suddenly you find a topic that starts off, grows and grows and grows as different kinds of people join in. It's like a cocktail party. Well, it's more like a telephone call-in show where you've got a moderator with a topic, and then they say, who are the callers online? Let's bring these people in one by one to add on the conversation. And they can kick the person out if they want, or bring other people in. And they often vet who's going to come on camera by the tweet chat that's going along the side. What are they talking about? Is that something that that conversation is something they want to bring up in the live video stream? And of course, it's all recorded. And as soon as it's finished, you get an MP4 video and you get an MP3 audio track, as well as the whole thing being recorded as a unit, like you're seeing here on the screen for full replay. So what's happening is podcasters are coming on board, and they start off doing their show on camera. Then they'll bring in a guest if they want. And when they finish their podcast, they open it up for a discussion about the topic and can decide to record that or not. And then when it's finished, they've got the audio content, the video content, and then the audio can be in a transcribed. So because there's no learning curve, literally, I mean, that's what blew me away. There was no learning curve. You could just jump in at any time, and suddenly there are topics that you really, really want to explore. I've been on coaching sessions. I've been on psychotherapy sessions. I've been on just discussions about cooking. Every topic is listed there. And what I'm finding is when I'm down at the end of the day watching television and there's nothing on TV, I'll just open up my laptop and suddenly find there's a blab that I want to start to interact with. And there I am interacting for an hour with whatever that topic is and meeting all kinds of people. So if you were trying to get visible easily in the Twitterverse, you can just hold a blab, and it's a 3-step process to start a blab. It's just really put the title of the blab, put the time of the blab, and tag it so that the hashtags will say what it's about. And then you click the button start. That's it. I mean, that's the extent of the learning that you need. So it's simple to use. And then suddenly there's a whole audience talking about whatever you want. Or if you let the audience move off in the direction that they want to talk about, you end up having a very informative discussion that you may or may not, want to record and edit and put on your website. But I sense it's just another vehicle, just like Hangouts are and live streaming has been. And now, as we know, we can get our Hangouts on LinkedIn, so we can embed it on our homepage on LinkedIn and get the LinkedIn world to find us. Now the Twitterverse can find us if we're doing a blab. And even if you don't want to run your own blab, just get in the tweet stream. My handle is CancerCoachNet. And so that brings up a conversation. Why are you here? What's happening with cancer? And I get to have a conversation with people interested in, topics that I think are important about caregivers or patients or survivors, and open up the conversation and then direct them over to our Cancer Coach directory. So by the way, any of you out there watching who aren't in our Cancer Coach directory, you should just go. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just put your information in it, because I'm directing people there to find coaches to help them as I meet them in Twitterverse or on Hangouts, or when I'm at the Community Share Care Council, or now Care Council. So these tools are things that you've really got to pay attention to if you're looking for visibility. They really are something that really makes a difference. And it's just about you going out there and deciding you want to be visible. I thought it was going to be really difficult. And most of you were telling me in the spring, hey, I really have something to offer, but no one wants to listen to me. And I'm finding, well, it's how you present what it is that you want to say that they will open their ears and give you an opportunity to explain what you can really do. And if you're coming at it, as Tracy was just saying a minute ago, with some hard information, now you've got their attention, particularly if you're trying to be seen by the medical community who doesn't understand at all why you should be there. Even some of the graduates of PCII who are trying to make inroads into the medical world still get a quizzical look because they don't really understand what the credentials Jeanette's group have. So it's an interesting educational problem that all of the coaches that I'm meeting have, but it is surmountable. That's the message I'm trying to give you today. I'm not having any trouble directing people to the directory. So if you can go out in your communities, wherever you want touch points, go ahead and start using some of these techniques. Let me stop there. Tracy, you're there, or anybody else want to be on camera? I'll turn the camera on for you. Any comments about what I'm talking about?
Dave, I am on my laptop and my battery is running low. I don't have my power cord with me. So yeah, sure. I've got about 10% battery left. I'd love to just share before I get kicked off.
Yes, please.
About my upcoming course.
Yes, indeed.
Clients of the other coaches that are on might be interested. I teach a 5-week course about 3 or 4 times a year on being enough, a topic that I think a lot of people struggle with, not just cancer survivors or, in my case, single people. I do attract a lot of single people to my practice because that's my focus. My book is called Being Single with Cancer, a Solo Survivor's Guide to Life, Love, Health, and Happiness. And so that course is open for registration now. The early bird deadline extends until September 20th, and the course begins on September 30th. It takes place every other week on Wednesday night for 2 hours, and there is reading. People that sign up for the course get a free copy, autographed copy of my book. The reading comes from the book, and then I provide some really detailed through the various issues in the course as well. So I just wanted to get that in there, and I'll put the link in the chat box so people can connect to it if they want more information, and feel free to reach out if you have questions. Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, that's what the forum's about. We want everyone to share their events. Paula Holland DeLong has also got a workshop that she's doing called Live What Matters. It's a 4-week telecourse, and it runs Thursdays, October 1st to 22nd at 8 to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And that's a small group online of women survivors who have to be finished most of their active treatment and certainly out of cancer and radiation, and are looking for new ways to take back control of their lives and feel normal again, and really taking control of their health. And it looks like a really great course. And if you send an email to Paula at whatsnextformylife.com, she wanted me to share that with the audience. And any of you out there who have events that you want coaches to know about so that they can send survivors and patients to your programs, just go to the Ask Dave page on the Cancer Coach Network site and leave the subject information, and I'll make sure that it's posted and shared on our monthly session. You know, some of you ask, why did we split the Find Your New Normal site and add it to the Cancer Coach Network site? I was having too many people on the Find Your New Normal site on the same mailing list getting all the information we're doing about coaching. And they're saying, I'm not a coach, I'm a patient, I'm a survivor. Why do you keep talking to me about coaching? So I figured the easiest way to do that was to split the two things that we're doing, so that Find Your New Normal is our monthly broadcast to the patients and survivors and caregivers. And you as coaches get an opportunity to be the guest, to come on and talk about your issues. Beth Williams is coming on next week on survivorship, on how do you find purpose and passion as you move from patient to person. And, she's one of our Cancer Coach Network members. So go to the Cancer Coach Network site and make sure that you're in our coach directory. Sign in there on our sign up so that you get on the mailing list of Cancer Coaches information. And I'm going to actually create probably a free membership site that controls it even tighter, because we're getting 30, 40 cancer coaches now, and I've got to organize it, reaching out to them, and they're getting confused with the couple hundred people we've got on the monthly broadcast. And don't forget, we also have the cancer community sitting on Google that you as a coach should go into and post your information and talk to the cancer patients and survivors over there. I mean, that's an active group of 100 signed up members and about 200 active members that are looking for help and information. So I'm trying to create a community that you can get into and let them know about your services. So get over to the Google community and start sharing information there, and tell me what you're doing so that I can post it on Twitter and can mention it when I'm on Blab so that you get more exposure there. And I'll be more overt. Some people saying, well, what are you doing, Dave? Well, I'm trying to help people, but obviously if you need particular coaching to do all of this, just let me know and I'll work out a personalized coaching program for you. I have a fast track 6-6 marketing program that I've done with other health and wellness people that help them generate more income once we define their marketing strategies and monitor it. So, 6 weeks of delving into what are you trying to do and how do you do it so that you get a marketing plan. So it's all on the it's called the fast track program, 6-6 program, and it's on the Cancer Coach Network page. If you look under business or marketing resource, or just type in cancercoachnetwork.com/fast-track, TRAK, and you'll get right to the page. But I want to be there to help you. So you tell me what you need. Do you need more research? You need more introductions? Do you need a better model to get known in your community? I was talking to a couple of coaches last week about maybe we should just develop the model that we can take to hospitals and medical professionals and say, look, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is where we fit in with what you're doing. And come up with more than, hey, I'm a coach, please use my services. Hey, maybe we can do this thing in a more organized way, rather than each of us trying to just do it individually, and some of us not doing it very well at all. So as you know, I've been doing this kind of thing for decades, helping small businesses become successful. And now my heart is in helping cancer patients find cancer coaches. I wish I had had one. My life would have been a lot easier with some of the people I've met now. I mean, man, my journey would have been much better. So I know what you can do, but you got to get out there and do it. And my job is to help you. So let me know how I can help you beyond just a monthly session where we're getting together talking about these kinds of concepts. So there's our hour. We tried to keep it within that limit. Probably lots of questions. Again, on the cancercoachnetwork.com, there's an Ask Dave page. Just go ahead and leave comments, questions, anything you want me to respond to, or just drop me a mail at dave@findyournewnormal.com, and you and I can work together to see if you can find new clients, build your practice, make a bigger difference in your world. Any comments you want to finish with, Tracy, before your laptop dies?
I got 2% battery left, but again, Dave, just thanks so much for doing these. They're so valuable. I love meeting all the other coaches and hearing from them, and I just appreciate the opportunity to be here and share.
And use the tools, because it's not just networking. As I said, I last week on the coaching session, one of my coaches found a new client just by hanging out on Blab. So there is business out there, folks. It's just you becoming known, and there are the tools. And if you're uncomfortable with the tools, let me know, and I will try to direct you to make sure that you're successful. So there you go. I'll stop the broadcast. I'll stay here and answer any questions that are there. But I'm just going to say thanks for everyone for coming. I hope it was valuable, and we'll see you next month when Lisa and I talk about video and live streaming and how that helps a solopreneur build their business. So I'll just stop the broadcast, and then I'll stay here to keep on chatting.